this is Ostuni, and welcome back to another episode of Warframe, What's My Loadout? I've noticed that I've actually picked up a decent little number of subscribers over the past week or so, and I'm pretty sure it has something to do with this series. So if you guys are just coming in, thank you for upping that number. I don't know how long I can continue doing Warframe daily, but even if I lay off of it for a little bit at any point, it'll come back, especially whenever there's new content to cover. I'll always cover that. But just kind of want to let you newer guys know that I do other games. It's just as of late, it's been a lot easier to do this from day to day. So this coming up weekend, I'm actually going to be recording for some of the other stuff that I actually wind up doing. If you guys are curious about that, just check out the channel's homepage, scroll down a little bit, and you can see kind of what I do on a regular-ish basis. But it's time for a very interesting loadout today. So last time we did Limbo, and this time is Ember. Ember is a frame that I usually go to whenever I need to, whenever I do like long play missions like excavation or something like that. Particularly, I think Ember Prime is pretty much the perfect frame to bring with you into Heracon, which is a very popular like leveling level, I guess you could say, or leveling mission. Don't know why I'm calling it level. But as far as fashion frame goes, I'm actually going to remember it this time. No weird time jump on this video. So basically, for all the attachments, they are the Targus set. As always, I'll tell you, best way to go about getting the Targus set right now, and I know, kind of weird that you can actually still get a Prime set. Well, not right now, but just wait for a Prime Unvaulting of Mag Prime to come, and you will be able to get this armor with the pack that you can purchase. For 40 bucks and the Platinum, even if you have all the rest of the stuff, I think it's worth it. This armor goes great with just about anything you decide to put on. Or put it on, yeah. Also, the Cyandana is the Pyra Prime Cyandana, and the way that you get that is actually by getting the Ember Prime pack whenever she becomes unvaulted and has a pack. Same price, 40 bucks if you want to get her, a couple of weapons, I think it's the Sycaris Prime, the Glaive Prime, and some Platinum. Just for the Platinum in this Cyandana, I think it's definitely worth it. Like, the Cyandana goes great with anything, and Plat's Plat, so Plat is Plat. Let's see. As far as the colors go, I decided to go with something a little bit different than what I usually do ever. I don't know where I came up with the idea. Space Mom, I'm trying to talk to the people. But as you can see, I got the primarily black, got the little bit of gray-ish right here. Mostly the secondary color is white. I decided to add red for the metallic aspects of Ember Prime. I don't know why, just I think it looks good. I think it matches up pretty well, and the same thing with the Targus Prime. Overall, I think it's a really nice color scheme. I haven't found a Warframe besides Ember Prime that this color scheme actually works for, so pretty much this is one situation, one rare situation where I have a color scheme that isn't universally used on a Warframe. But for weapons, I have the Ignis Prime. Oh, this weapon, it is so good. So this is without any Forma on there, and you can get to these stats, just letting you know. So I've got Serration, Split Chamber, and then I have all 4 of the dual stat element mods, and you can actually get to 102% status chance. Now, to my knowledge, getting above 100% status chance doesn't really do anything for you, but, I mean, I'm not going to argue with it. I mean, that's always a good thing to have, is the guaranteed status chance. Let's see. So the Atomos is a fun little sidearm. you're seeing that, you're probably going to see that all of these weapons have fire in common, but I don't know, like, the Atomos is actually really, really powerful. Like, I have seen this thing actually get just about as good kills as the Ignis Wraith that I have. And I'll show you guys how I kind of mod for this. Let's see. I have Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion, Lethal Turret, and then I have all 4 of the dual stat mods. You get to about 54.4% with this, but for a weapon that is kind of like a flamethrower mechanic, I think this is an alright status chance to actually get to for that. So yeah, and then basically you just mix and match the mods up however you want to actually get the elements that you want. Like I said, I've been a fan of the combination of radiation and viral for a while. I just like radiation, the fact that it makes people attack their allies, and viral is just extra damage overall, so that's kind of my opinion on that. But now we've got the heat dagger, and I know I forgot to mention Ember's actual augments. I'll mention those in just a second. Or actually, yeah, that's right, I was loving the heat dagger with her. Let me actually put on the weapon that I usually use. And I know that some people are going to have their opinions about this too. The Silva in Aegis Prime. I was using the original, now I got the Prime, so pretty happy about that. Pretty happy about how it looks actually with Ember Prime. Let's see what I've got as far as modding for this thing. It is pretty simple. All 4 of the dual element status mods, or yeah, dual element status mods, yeah. And it gets you to about 88.7% status chance, which is good. Actually, I do have melee prowess on there. This just was the only mod that I had that was a D mod that I think would have actually would have been pretty good for it. I actually had Northwind on here. Okay, so that's what I did. Yeah, I have Northwind on here. This is a pure elemental damage weapon, by the way, so don't bother trying to get any slash, impact, or anything like that. Just stack elemental damage. So, yeah. I've got Berserker because you got at least that 15% critical chance, which is enough to actually get some use out of Berserker. And then, of course, the Prime Pressure Point. To be honest, though, you know what? I think I know what I'm going to wind up doing. Is I'm going to take off probably Northwind. I'm going to form this slot, and actually, you know what? I bet I can actually fit this on there even without forming it right now. Awesome. Condition Overload, we lose a little bit of damage, but technically we're going to gain it right back because we have a weapon that gives us 100% status chance, and for every status chance that the enemy is afflicted with, we get 60% additional damage for this weapon. So this thing is now going to hit much, much harder. As far as the actual Warframe itself, told you I'd remember. I'm remembering this shit now. I'm remembering it. Alright. So, we've got Steel Charge. Actually, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and do this. Growing Power. Just changing stuff on the fly, because I'm so professional. But yeah, Growing Power applying status effects with weapons increases your ability strength by 25% for 6 seconds. Now the interesting thing, in case you guys don't know a detail about that, is if you have a extended ability that consumes energy as you do it, to my knowledge, and you guys can correct me in the comments, but to my knowledge, if you pop the ability while that 25% buff is actually going, you will keep that 25% buff as long as the ability lasts. So for her abilities, this is pretty awesome, and I can't wait to go into a mission here in a second and actually show that to you guys. But everything else is pretty simple. Actually, that's kind of weird. I don't know why Oh, I think I know what I was going to do. I know what I was going to do. Okay, so what I've got is I've got Intensify, Redirection, Streamline, Stretch, let's see, Primed Flow for that max energy, let's see. Yeah, 563 is a pretty nice pool of energy, especially whenever you pop your 4 whenever you're at the top of your energy pool, because it's kind of hard to drain that down, like with just 1 energy per second. And of course you're going to be picking up all sorts of energy orbs as you just go around and stuff like that, especially if you have Sentinel, and you don't even have to worry about that if you have Vacuum. But anyway, continuity for her other abilities, particularly 2 and 3. That's pretty good for those if you actually wind up remembering to use them, which I'm kind of guilty about forgetting to use them from time to time, but that's my own doing. And then Vitality. What I'm wanting to do, though, here pretty soon is I'm wanting to form another D slot, probably, to go ahead and get Vitality in a Polarity slot, so that I can actually put Prime Vigor back in there and actually jump her shields up to more than 1,000. So she's a little bit more durable that way, in my opinion. I have my opinions about shields. If I have a resource that's going to help me survive and I can regenerate it and not have to look for stuff as I'm going around, like health orbs, I'm gonna pretty much choose that resource. I know that like armor doesn't affect shields as much, but I mean, I feel that if you don't have above a certain number, like maybe 300 shields overall, it's really not even worth investing actually, like steel fiber into it. Not really. You guys can leave your opinions on that in the comments below. I'm sure people do have their opinions. Alright, so I'm gonna actually do 10 minutes of Heracon, because I want to show you guys Ember Prime being used. In the setting that I use her the most for is going to Heracon, and that is because Heracon is a very, well, I can, let's see, go ahead. Oh, wait a minute. Do I have, okay. Yeah, I do have public queue. I'll go ahead and talk about it just a little bit. The most common setting that I wind up using Ember for is that I actually, oh, okay, we got somebody. Cool. Oh, and a Nova. That's going to be even better. But I mainly use Ember on missions like Heracon whenever I'm going for extreme grinding. And I mean like extreme grinding. Because in here, I think this is essentially a Ember's playground. Ember's abilities are basically tailor-made for this. God damn. I'm pretty sure that fire is actually the most effective thing against the infested, which is all you're going to be facing.
Protect the unit while it extracts the artifact.
So yeah, let's go ahead and see how this works. I think I can go ahead and pop. There we go. Let's get this started. Yeah, kill 3 enemies within 10 seconds. I blew that out of the water, didn't I? But yeah, the killing power of Ember Prime is, I believe, right up there with probably Warframe's like Ash, which was tailor-made specifically to kill. So, that's my opinion on that. Her other abilities, particularly her 2 and 3, actually synergize pretty well with her ability, or her 4th ability. I believe 4 actually, or 3 creates the AoE, in which it increases damage even further. And then Accelerant just increases your fire damage exponentially onto anyone that it already is afflicting. I believe that's how it works. Let me see. I think I got some time. Yeah. Stun nearby enemies with Accelerant, increases all fire damage dealt. Okay. I got you. And then Fire Blast slams the ground, creates a persistent ring of fire which deals high damage over time. Okay. And then number 1 is pretty much the most basic ability, is just a fireball that you can toss. I wouldn't wind up using this ability, to be honest, but that's just me. My personal preference. If I can just have World on Fire on for the vast majority of the mission time, I consider that a success. You know, I think everybody pretty much knows how the Ignis Wraith works, but I think a lot of people actually kind of underestimate the Atomos.
Proceed to the dig site.
Let's see. So let's see if we can get that.
Attacks, be ready.
And the cool thing that I kind of like about the Atomos is it has this innate ability that's kind of similar to a couple of other weapons, where the flames can actually jump between a few actual targets if they're scrunched up together, which is pretty cool. I think it's the Amprix like lightning rifle that does that too. Correct me if I'm wrong on that name, but that has an ability, an innate ability to do that. Like, has the ability to have lightning jump to and from targets. So, yeah, that's a very good ability for a weapon to have. And you don't even have to do anything to it. It just does. Uh-oh. Is there a stalker here? Well, I'll slap that stalker right in the face. I'm a man. I'm a brave boy. Oh God, it's not. Get on my face. Get on my face. Get on my face. Oh, you're all dead. Ooh, I got something. Oberon Neuroptics. Oh yeah. You know, that's actually something that's kind of interesting to me, is those frames that are like Oberon. Is that Oberon is a very interesting frame, because the original one specifically, because he is a frame that pretty much as long as you continue to play the game, you'll eventually be able to make him no matter what. Because I don't think that there's like one person who's been playing for years that's like, I've been able to get the Neuroptics, the chassis, but I've never been able to get the systems, or something like that. I wonder if we'll ever get another Warframe that's just kind of like that. A Warframe that like you can get pretty naturally, like by killing a certain enemy type. Because I know that not too long ago with Harrow, what they wound up doing. Jesus, I need to get to the point. I know with Harrow, you could get the helmet blueprint from killing void enemies. I wonder if we'll ever get another like enemy type that if you kill enough of them you can get like a full set of like a Warframe's like blueprints and stuff like that. That'd be kind of interesting, I think. If so, what would it be? Or actually, you want to know what would be really cool? I think in the last dev stream, the guys mentioned that there was going to be basically kind of like a prospecting feature to the Plains of Eidolon, which is pretty cool because they were saying like how you can get gems and you can use those as like the balances for your custom melee weapons that are coming. And I think it would be cool if at one point they introduced maybe a Warframe that you could actually get solely through doing prospecting. Mind you, I wouldn't know exactly. You know what would actually be pretty cool? Is if like there were a whole bunch of gems that you could get, and depending on like which gem, like you maybe sock it into the Warframe, its powers can change around and stuff like that. I think that would be a pretty cool thing. And hypothetically, we could have another Equinox-like frame on our hands where it can do a little bit of everything if you want it to. It could be a DPS, it could be crowd control, it could be a full-on support, or it could even be a tank. I think that would be pretty interesting. Sound off if you guys think that that would be a pretty interesting idea for a frame. Maybe like a gem frame. Like, maybe I'm actually speaking a little too soon, though, to be honest, because I know that there is, there's the Glassframe that's coming along the same time frame as Eidolon, and I think that they actually kind of hinted that maybe whenever Eidolon launches, maybe right around that time the Glassframe is going to launch with it, or at least very close to it or something. Like, that would be kind of interesting if they implement the idea that way. Because, like, something that's kind of discouraging but kind of nice to know at the same time is that, I can't remember which dev it was, so sorry for that. But I remember one of them being asked about, like, where the new Glassframe stood. And pretty much, he just was honest about it. He said, like, I'm, like, playing with the powers that we got, and I'm not really enjoying it too much, so we're going to go back to the well, and we're going to find some stuff out. And I do respect that for those of you who are just like, God, you're just, like, you're being, like, finicky and everything like that. It's like, no, like, to me, the concept for a Glassframe is kind of, like, strange anyway, because, like, a Glassframe could function in a lot of ways, hypothetically. You could use it to get armor and then shatter it, and then, like, it does a radial blast or something like that, or maybe, like, the, ooh, you want to know what would be actually pretty cool? You know what, now this has actually turned into a discussion about, the Glassframe for, a future update. What if you had an ability that, like, you armored yourself up more with glass, you popped the ability, and, or wait a minute, like, maybe you popped a second ability that only works if you have that, ability kind of working, and whenever you do, the armor, the glass armor that you have shatters, okay? But whenever you actually do that, whenever the glass shatters, it hangs in the air and it creates an AoE field of damage that slashes enemies whenever they actually walk into it. I think that would actually be a pretty cool concept for a power. Like, let me know what you guys think the powers for the Glassframe should be. Actually, that's the question of the day. What would you recommend for the Glassframe's powers? Because apparently they're not quite sure, like, exactly what they're wanting to do anyway. Like, I'm sure they have an idea, but maybe it's just, like, maybe things didn't pan out, like, concepts didn't pan out the way that they wanted, or something like that. Who knows? But it's definitely an interesting concept. And then, the interesting, something else that could be pretty cool is if you activated another ability while those glass shards are actually hanging in midair, you could actually do it, and then all those shards could actually explode into tiny little explosions, dealing a guaranteed, like, slash proc and, like, blasting enemies back so that they have to lay on the ground for a bit and deal with that slash proc. I think that combination of things would be really cool. And then hypothetically, down the road, whenever they do, like, augment mods for Glassframe, I would do one to where that burst ability would add a potential cold proc, so that it would keep them down longer. That would be pretty interesting. That's my thoughts about that, though. I think that would actually be a pretty solid tool set. And then, like, I'm not sure if this is confirmed or not. I think that she's actually supposed to have some kind of unique weapon with her. And I'm wondering how that's going to work, because at first glance, it's a mace. So, like, and it's a big mace too, so don't get me wrong. But I'm kind of curious in a good way on how they're going to actually do that. Because, like, hypothetically, it could be really interesting because Wukong's staff to any other person that knows nothing about the character of Sun Wukong looks just like a staff, and that's all you get out of it. But as you start to use it, you're like, oh dang, this is actually pretty unique, I really like it. But same thing with Excalibur. You think, oh, I'm pulling out an energy sword, then all of a sudden you just start shooting slash projectiles at people. But if that Warframe is supposed to have a special weapon as like maybe its fourth, I think those 3 other abilities would be good supporting abilities to base around it. Ooh, like what if dude, what if like she could make like walls of glass like as barriers, and whenever she summons that mace she has the option to knock it down and like propel shards of glass into her enemies. That would actually be awesome. The more I'm thinking about it and the more that I'm trying to like think of these interesting ideas, like the more I'm really enthused like about the prospect of it. Like, I'm definitely gonna have to tag this video up so that like people know that like I'm discussing the Glassframe in this, because like now that I'm thinking about it, those concepts could be really cool. Let's get some Sylvan Aegis action in here. I've been neglecting this baby all day. Sylvan Aegis is a weapon that is kind of weird because like a lot of people usually really frown on pure elemental melee weapons. I don't know why. Like I get pretty good performance out of mine pretty much no matter what. Maybe it's just because like I think it's kind of without saying that most status or most elemental weapons, pure elemental weapons, are more prone to having a higher status chance, so I definitely build to get the most possible status chance, even if it doesn't get to 100%. Like, if it gets to, like, 60 or above, I think it's good enough to use. Then again, I can't think of a weapon where I actually had where it was a pure element damage melee weapon where it didn't actually get to like 70 or above status chance. So I guess that's kind of the compensation for it if you really think about it. But yeah, you know what? I think we're gonna. I think I'll wind up capping out here at 900 for this episode. And that'll be where we end it, because I may actually wind up going on for a while, but that's no reason for you guys to, like, really just kind of stick around and everything like that. You guys have seen why I use Ember Prime the way that I do and everything like that. And I got a good little discussion with you guys about a potential frame. Well, not a potential frame, it's coming, it's just ideas about a upcoming frame. Yeah. And, I was gonna say, another great response, like, another round of great responses from the Facebook community as far as, my question of the day goes. There were a lot of people, that gave their answers. I wish I could actually remember all of them right off the top of my head, but what are you gonna do? I'll try to remember them for the next video, and I'll try to get the answers for this one too, because I know that there's some people that are probably just as curious about the Glassframe as I am. Here, let's kill some people. There we go. Let's go ahead and get a... we can fire around here. Protect the last extractor for this video properly. Speaking of Warframes that we don't really know much about, Excalibur Umbra. I really want to know what sets it apart from Excalibur or Excalibur Prime. I am supremely curious, because, like, for them to keep it in the dark this long, there is something more to this frame than simply being a more badass version of basically the starter frame. There's got to be something to it. Maybe his abilities are tweaked or something like that. Like, that's what I think it's going to be. Like, either his abilities are, like, vastly different, or, like, so many of them have changed in, like, some kind of way, or his stats have just been souped up. Something is definitely different about Umbra. And then that's the other thing, is whenever Umber comes out, should we expect Umbra weapons? Should we expect more Umbra Warframes kind of on a semi-regular basis? That'd be kind of interesting. And will we eventually have more Warframes where we eventually have, like, a regular, a Umbra, and a Prime? Could happen. Who knows? That's the interesting thing about Warframe. Sometimes you just really don't know what's going to happen. But we got to 900 as far as total Cryoctic saved up. So that's going to be the end of this video. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me run with I'm back on Umbra. Watching me run with Ember Prime a bit, seeing that this is how I pretty much use Ember Prime. I'm sorry I didn't go too much into detail about, well, I actually did, about pretty much all of her weapons. It's just I got into that tangent about the Glassframe, and I just got excited about it because I just started having so many little ideas. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to know the next episode is coming out. Like me definitely on Facebook if you want to see where I post up to on that, and maybe get involved with the discussion of the question of the day on there too. But speaking of which, question of the day, you get to design all four, or actually the other three, assuming that the fourth ability for the Glassframe is her special weapon. What would you pick? Like, what kind of abilities would you give the Glassframe for her other three abilities? Let me know in the comments down below what you'd want. I'm really interested to see what you guys would come up with. I think I came up with some pretty solid ones myself, and if you think that I had some good suggestions, forward this video and get it to DE, because I would definitely like to know that DE thinks that my ideas are good. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is O'Stooney signing off. Yeah!